know just the tune to accompany them, if you wish to hear it.
Hello, Mr. Crossell. How's business been?
Oh, good, very good. All thanks to your advice, Miss Yanfei.
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now,
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, in the end I did acquire a small Miss Yanfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins? I must apologize, I've already...
Wait, isn't Smaragdus jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried about the hairpins?
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract with The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, she must compensate me for its full... In return, I included a clause that guarantees the Smaragdus jadeite is genuine, with a penalty of 10 times the item's value payable by me.
guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be...
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the assurance...
In that case, might you know where Monsieur Chow lives? We'd like to pay her a visit and have a look at the...
Oh, of course. She wrote her address down when we signed our contract.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Crossell. We'll be off now.
The wind knows me.
Oh, whatever shall I do? Yes, that's me. Is there something I can help you with?
How do you do, Monsieur Chow? We understand from Mr. My associates and I are very...
The hairpins. I can't lend them. I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side, and I hadn't even worn them yet. I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value, My family is in the ore business too, but business has been suffering ever since the chasm was sealed off. We now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around, so we've been having to purchase some. A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. I need this opportunity to... That's what the hairpins were for, well, to keep up appearances. But now that I've lost the hairpins...
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense of déjà vu?
Would you really? I sent a commission to the Adventurers Guild, but I haven't heard anything back.
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Monsieur Chow, would you let me have a...
Huh? Well, I mean, sure, I haven't...
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? Maybe she can help. True. Though surely there must...
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that you must pay. Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of... And given the rarity of Smaragdus jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation...
Even higher? Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Jichao looks like she's about...
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus...
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hair... Whichever way you look at it, we've got to start...
Except that if we found the hairpins, there'd no longer be any need to...
Please. Please, Don't trouble yourselves over however much it is. I will have to pay it. My family are merchants now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep Crossell in the dark any longer.
Yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. So hold on a moment, Mr. Chow. When you first touched the hairpins...
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstone set into the pin. My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the past.
Smooth to the touch. Fine. No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine a few things.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With Ms. Jichao in tow, too, I see. How are the hairpins? You lost them? Are you serious? Do you...
I'm sorry. Truly I am.
Mora! Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my hands on... I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back. since Miss Yanfei...
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. Ah, yes. It was in fact genuine smaragdus jadeite inlaid into the hairpins, correct?
Of course! Genuine article guaranteed, or I pay back...
All right, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official assessment of the sum owed by
Thank you very much. How could she lose my hairpins? She'd better pay...
Looks like I'll have to find some way to raise that money.
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something to discuss. It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit and talk in more detail.
Miss Yanfei, what is this about?
No. What I wanted to talk about is, there is a chance that the ore inlaid on those hairpins may not be smart.
What do you mean? Are you
Obviously not. I'm no adventurer, let alone a member of the guild. I don't know if Granny told you this, but smaragdus jadeite is found deep underground and contains very concentrated elemental energy. If mere mortals come into contact with it, well, they'll be sick in the best case. And in the worst case, they could even experience a dramatic change of personality. Mr. Chow, did you at any time feel unwell while the hairpin...
No, not at all.
Now that is strange. I noticed earlier that there were elemental traces. If I've deduced correctly, he may still have the smaragd...
If that's the case, we should go confront him.
Absolutely not. If we were to confront him now, there's no way he would admit to it. And then he'd throw the smaragdus jadeite into the sea the moment we were gone. After that, he would simply insist that Mr. Chow pay up per the contract. Meanwhile, we would have to look under every stone in Liyue, hoping and praying that the hair...
So vivid that Paimon thinks it might be experience talking.
Oh, it certainly is. I've seen my fair share of situations like this, and brute force methods are certainly one...
Well then, since you're so experienced in dealing with
Oh, that won't be a problem. But first, Miss...
Huh? Does there have to be a contract for everything? Paimon can't even keep... It feels like Yanfei is even more concerned with them than...
These are my formal terms of engagement. Everything prior to now has just been pro bono advice. But for me to investigate any further, I require a written contract. Any work commissioned but not bound by a contract cannot be relied upon.
I understand. Then I will be glad to...
No problem. Just sign here, and I'll sign too. Okay. And I'll also need your signatures on pages 5, 7, and on the very last page. Finally, if you could just use this ink...
This contract has so many pages.
All right, that should do it. My fees are the same as always, and they're written in...
I've had a read through. Everything...
Well then, here's your copy of the contract. I will retain the other copy. Not for now, no. Despite how intractable this problem might sound, I don't believe you have been part of an investigation like this before.
Miss Yanfei, I have to ask.
Because, as it happens, I'm currently trying to acquire some smaragdus jadeite myself. Whether he actually made it into an item of jewelry or not is a separate matter. But I've also... The idea of someone abusing the law to their... But again, let's not dwell on this. Let's go to... Ah, I've got it! Let's pay a visit to Chateau, the boss of the Jade Mystery. If Mr. Crossell had his ore worked on at all, Chateau would undoubtedly have been his first choice.
Let me tell you.
Why, hello there, honored customers. Welcome. Surely not more spurious claims that...
No, nothing of the sort. Has a Snezhnayan merchant named Crossell enlisted your ore processing service?
A Snezhnayan merchant named... I do remember that. He brought me a piece of ore, claiming that was the first time I'd ever encountered it, so I had no way of telling if it was really smaragdus jadeite or not. He was quite generous with his money, too, so I didn't give it to...
Do you have any leftover
Why, yes. It was my first time encountering this ore, after all, so...
Thank you, sir. We'll take a look at them.
If my eyes don't deceive me, the cross-sections and patterning, yes. It's not particularly rare, nor is it especially valuable. I've heard it said that smaragdus nephrite is in fact the outer layer of smaragdus jadeite, though no one's...
A thin layer of separation.
If you must see for yourself, try examining these shavings for traces of elemental energy.
Is that so? So, did you find anything? So they really are different. But wait, how come Jichao was able to tell what it was?
There's nothing special to it. It just so happens that I've come across a great many of these in my time. These two stones actually look very similar. Someone without a deep understanding of them would find it very difficult to... There may be only a subtle difference for the casual viewer, but that and I'm sure a significant difference in the cost of having them carved into...
All right, let's focus up. We're going off on a
But never mind, Shirto. Why would...
Unusual actions have unusual reasons behind them. Let's...
Miss Yenfei?
If you could just confirm for me once more, sir. Mr. Crossell did indeed claim...
Yes, that's right. I still have a record of the job with me, in fact.
Then I have no further questions. But could I borrow the process?
Of course.
Oh, I have my reasons. Ah, yes. Please sign here. This document shall serve as signed proof that these stone shavings originated...
Yes, I see.
I wouldn't say there's been an incident. Just a minor issue. Thank you.
With this hard evidence to back us up?
On the contrary, this is far from sufficient. If you want to make jewelry, you need a professional jewelsmith. Let me think. Jewelry. Aha! Got it! Singxi. She often helps people to...
Well, that was quick. How come you know...
Because lots of people come to me for legal advice every day. As you know, Liyue Harbor is the city of contract, but the amendments made by the Tianquan to our laws are unnecessarily complicated. As such, legal advisors like myself provide quite the popular...
So you help them make sense of the law. But didn't you say that it...
Yes, well, that's no obstacle, because I've memorized all...
You memorized them?
You sound surprised. Knowing the law inside out is a... Oh, this has nothing to do with being an adeptus. I just like reading things.
Again, with that casual tone.
Well, that's that then. Let's...
Try your luck betting on Jade?
Oh, Miss Yenfei, it's you. Has something...
Have no further trouble from then on? Yes, has a merchant by the name of Crossell asked you to put him in contact with a jewelsmith recently?
Krosel. Yes, I remember him. He's a merchant from Snezhnaya. The design of the hairpins that he gave me was quite intricate, so it took me some work to find someone who was up to the job. Eventually, this order was on hold for a very long time, and only completed quite recently.
Doesn't seem like there's any evidence to be found.
Miss Singxi, I'd like for you to confirm for me once more. When Mr. Crossell commissioned you to find him a jewelsmith, did he or did he not assert that...
Yes, I'm sure of it. The hairpins were made using many expensive materials, and the asking price was quite high, so we had to... Mr. Krosel wasn't very familiar with the necessary procedures, so I filed. I also kept a copy for my own records. See for yourself. The item is called Smaragdus Jadeite Twin Phoenix Pins. The inlaid gemstone is recorded as Smaragdus Jadeite. The document...
Thank you, Singxi.
Sure, it isn't serving much purpose here anyway.
Nothing you need to worry about. Just a minor issue. I'll return...
Why is everyone's first reaction always to assume someone...
I believe we have almost all the evidence we need. We just need to make one...
The weirdo with the snake around his...
Because only he can provide an authoritative statement. Once we have this final piece of evidence in our hands, we can wrap...
My, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking, and if it isn't Miss Yanfei as well, now that's an even rarer honor. What business?
No. I'm here this time to ask if you're familiar with Smaragdus Jade.
Smaragdus jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the 6th comp. The 7 Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains. It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case scenario, they'll suffer great changes in personality and their illness will only ever get worse. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit attesting to the farm.
That is indeed the case. If you...
No trouble at all. It's just a single document. Won't take me a moment. I would mention, though, that you are... But after I gave him my reply, I wonder, Miss Yanfei, if you're pressing...
You needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baizhu. Thank you for penning.
You're too kind.
That Baizhu guy is as weird as ever. Is it just Paimon, or does it feel like he was fishing for something back there?
Dr. Baiju's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need. Let's go find Mr. Crossell.
Miss Yanfei, have you finished your investigation? I trust you will now be in a position to assess...
Yes, my investigation is indeed concluded.
Wonderful. Well then, please.
Of course. Mr. Crossell, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction price.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her? Surely there's been some kind of...
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be Smaragdus jadeite that was inlaid within the Smaragdus jadeite twin phoenix pins that you rent. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine.
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, I spent a huge sum to obtain that Smaragdus jadeite, and yet you claim that the...
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the processing of the ore can serve as an authoritative assessment of whether it is genuine. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples and an affidavit signed by the...
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between Smaragdus jadeite and Smaragdus. In any case, Smaragdus nephrite is the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite. So I had him cut away the nephrite. He returned the valuable...
That's an unsubstantiated belief.
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated. And...
Ugh. Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't convince him at all.
Hard evidence, something legally binding. We have...
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is the Ministry's seal, after all.
Our second piece of evidence didn't work either. And...
You know, you could be right. Perhaps the hair...
Of course I'm right. All the evidence shown support...
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence that we haven't... Traveler, would you do the honors? This shall serve...
What's this?
Smaragdus jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. Sustained contact with Smaragdus jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases, cause a mild malady. What, Mr. Crossell? Were you aware of these peculiar properties of Smaragdus jadeite?
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but however, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient considering that, don't worry, Mr. Crossell, I will make sure that all the evidence presented here will be handed over to... I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their investigations.
What? Wait! I knew.
Oh, so you knew? Oh.
Huh? No,
aren't actually inlaid with genuine smaragdus. You do understand, Mr. Crossell, that this means that you will have to pay Mr. Crossell. Your answer, please. My client and I are...
Yamp, he's seriously intimidating right now. It's like she's a different person.
I admit it. I confess. But I'm a victim in all of this too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that, but after receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme I went to Boo Boo Pharmacy to get myself checked out, only to discover that that's why I had another pair of hairpins made from smaragdus nephrite. I kept the real smaragdus jadeite and especially I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them. And then to top it all off...
Exactly! If they weren't the real...
I didn't want to either, but when I purchased that smaragdus jadeite, some of my business partners found out. I knew if word got out that I sold a pair of fake hairpins, then...
All right, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of this has on your transaction with my
10 times.
Crossell looks like he could faint any second.
As for me, according to my contract with Mr. Chow,
20%? That's as much as I spent on that smaragdus jadeite.
There's no need. It's fun. Even if the smaragdus jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing.
Ms. Chow...
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of smaragdus jadeite, why don't you give it to me?
What? But all right then. This cursed rock's brought me enough grief.
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn this smaragdus
Well, that's not quite how the rules say that.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to visit and express my thanks more.
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony.
Well, yes, I believe we have.
Well then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no further claims against you.
Is that so?
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business for a second. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, works in the ore business. If we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our choice ore...
Well, that's that. And we've got the smaragdus jadeite that Granny wants too.
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, even though
The right solution depends on your perspective. The objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, rather than looking high and low for some hairpins, proving that an adeptus. Speaking of, you took part in that battle. Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of adeptus means precious little to me compared to my job as a legal advisor. In any case, don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultancy far more than it needs adeptal power?
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reasoning.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's time to pay...
Time to go.
You've returned. How did it go? Good, good. Then we have all...
Well, if we're all set, Granny, I'll get going now. Got it.
Oh, you. All right, then. Go see...
I'm off then. Bye! Oh, yes, Traveler. Make sure you don't lose the bit. I've been looking into the laws of other nations as well. If you should ever bump into any trouble with the law, come find me.
Come now, child. Are you leaving or are you not? If you have no wish to leave...
I'm leaving! I'm leaving!
That child. Goodness knows where she learned to be so rambunctious. Indeed she is. Yanfei might be overly garrulous, but she is also the Liyue is all right then. Let us speak of this no more.
Ooh, Paimon's so excited! How?
It is but a single teapot. There we go. This Serenity pot is all yours. Hold it firmly. If you were to drop it, take these blueprints with you as well. You'll need...
Wait a minute, Granny! How...
Oh, you needn't worry about that.
Wow! This teapot seems even bigger inside than Madam P, huh? But there's just a whole load of nothing around it. Hey! There's a perfectly good house right up still. Why is it so... Oh, wait a second. What is that?
Time to go.
Well, it seems that we have a visitor.
It's a huge finch!
Excuse me, I am not, hang on a moment. Oh, call me. I suppose you make...
So you're the little helper.
Madam Ping? Oh, you must mean you may leave all matters regarding your journey may be far from over. But though it is the Adepti who create realms such as this, they generally... Thus, we teapot spirits were created to help guard them. You may consider me... Now, allow me to explain this realm. Have you any blueprints on you? Specific, as long as you have a blueprint, you can read...
Blueprints? Oh, that's right!
Yes, these are the blueprints I'm talking. Just commit the image of the objects to memory and then simply release the thought from your mind and the object in the blueprint.
Wow! Is that all it takes? Then we could build a whole city in...
I doubt it. A golden-eyed adeptus explained this to me. He said that even though subspace creation is this world is not a true one after all. It provides merely a moment of...
A golden-eyed adeptus?
I hardly remember myself. What's more, Well, let's not dwell on that. Have a look around. If there's anything you would like to...